Everyone, my name is Taylor Gischel, and today we are going to be talking about the European Nordic island country, Iceland. Iceland is home to a small population of about 343,518 inhabitants, also known as Icelanders.
There are many fun facts about Iceland. One of them is that more than 60% of their population lives in just one city, which is their capital city, Reykjavik. Also, over 1,100 years ago, sometime in the 800s, Vikings from Norway discovered the country by accident and decided to settle there. Lucky for the Icelanders, Iceland has no poisonous spiders, mosquitoes, or snakes. Perhaps the most surprising fact is that the majority of Icelanders believe in the existence of elves, trolls, and other fantastical beings. Lastly, something that will shock all Americans is that Iceland has no McDonald's. It is one of the few countries that is not home to those infamous golden arches. So, what are some differences between our culture here in the US and the culture all the way over in Iceland? First, I'll give a little refresher on some key elements of culture. Culture is best defined as a way of living, built by a group of human beings that are transmitted from one generation to the next. In other words, it is how people in a specific area live, or how they do things, and the attitudes, beliefs, and values shared by that group. Some elements of culture are religion, aesthetics, such as color and scent, language, and dietary preferences. In addition, Hofstede outlines 5 cultural dimensions, such as individualism versus collectivism, power distance, uncertainty avoidance, achievement versus nurturing, and long-term versus short-term orientation. Now that we have gone over those, we can discuss some cultural differences between our two countries. The primary languages in the US are English and Spanish. However, in Iceland, that primary language is Icelandic. In fact, Iceland as a country is isolated and exhibits linguistic homogeneity, meaning that it has never had several languages. Although both countries' predominant religion is Christianity, the most practiced denominations do differ. In the US, that denomination is Catholicism, and in Iceland, the Evangelical Lutheran Church is the most widely practiced denomination of Christianity. It is also important to note that Iceland has a relatively large atheist population. Even though 70% of their population practice Christianity and only 12% practices atheism, it still makes them one of the top atheist countries in the world. As for food, it comes as no surprise that Americans consume much more fast food than other countries, including Iceland. In addition, Americans consume 31% more packaged foods than fresh foods, and popular meal choices are a combination of many cultures and cuisines. The most popular foods in America include pizza, chicken, and pasta. Iceland, on the other hand, tends to consume more natural choices. A lot of their cuisine includes animal products, with some of the most consumed food categories being seafood, dairy, and lamb. Their diet is primarily based on animal products due to the harsh climate that makes cultivation of crops very difficult. More recently, vegetables have been becoming a popular food choice, but the majority of them need to be imported. Some popular Icelandic dishes are hangajot, skyr, and lafabrau. If we look into Hofstede's 5 cultural dimensions, we can first see that the US and Iceland aren't so different in terms of individualism versus collectivism. In fact, America scores very high on the individualism scale, at a 91, and Iceland scores high as well at a 60. This individualism means that the goals of the individual take precedence over the goals of the group. So, in Iceland and the US, individuals are primarily concerned with their own interests and those that are a part of their immediate core, such as their close friends and family. They typically enjoy challenges and an expectation of individual rewards for their hard work. The US and Iceland also share a low power distance culture, where everyone expects to be listened to, regardless of rank or background. Iceland scores 30 on power distance, while the US scores 40. Iceland's score on this ranking system is a direct reflection of their egalitarian attitudes towards life. Both the US and Iceland rank relatively low in uncertainty avoidance. In fact, they are only 5 points apart from each other, Iceland at 50 and the US at 45. Uncertainty avoidance describes how people in a culture cope with certain anxieties. In these low uncertainty avoidance cultures, people are more relaxed and there are fewer formal and informal governing structures, which is reflected of the higher degree of comfort with ambiguity. For achievement versus nurturing, otherwise known as masculine versus feminine, The US is an achievement country, and Iceland is a nurturing country. The US scores 62 on achievement, and this characteristic reflects the fact that people in the culture are expected to be assertive, competitive, and concerned with material successes. Also, economic growth is high priority, and roles of men and women do not overlap as much. On the other hand, with an extremely low score of 10, Iceland is considered a feminine society. This means that values such as relationships and concerns for others prevail. Also, environmental protection is a high priority for these cultures. This is reflected in Iceland actually being one of the most eco-friendly countries in the world. Lastly, roles of men and women overlap a lot. As the Harvard Business School states, both men and women enjoy equal rights and freedom in Iceland, and the country ranks as one of the best in the world in terms of gender equality. The fifth and final dimension I'll discuss is long-term versus short-term orientation. Both the US and Iceland rank low on this scale, placing them at a short-term orientation. With the US at 26 and Iceland 28, the citizens of these cultures focus more on the present and past as opposed to the future. They value tradition and emphasize things such as principles and consistency. Although Icelanders have a modern attitude towards life, which is shown in their progressive household structures, legality of same-sex marriages, and other equal rights alike, they are proud of their heritage and take great care to preserve their traditions. Now, these cultural differences impact marketing activities of U.S. companies that might want to do business in that country. As for language, there are high-context cultures and low-context cultures. Iceland is a low-context culture. For marketers, this means that they will need to communicate information to Icelanders in direct, explicit, and precise ways with specific messages. This is because, generally, people in Iceland say what they mean. Additionally, and maybe most importantly, since there is a difference in primary languages spoken between our country and Iceland, marketers need to make sure that they properly translate their messages into Icelandic. A common rule of thumb is to never use machines and to always use people. Back translation is a widely used and effective method in which someone translates their message into the language they want and then translates it back to English to ensure there is nothing lost in translation or misrepresented. Marketers should also take religion into account. Even though both countries are predominantly Christian practicing, they need to make sure that no marketing messages could be considered offensive in Iceland. Pictured here is the popular Icelandic dish, lafabröd, otherwise known as leaf bread. Lafabröd is a traditional kind of bread that is eaten most during the Christmas season and has a sweet taste to it. This brings us to another implication of cultural differences. If a company wants to open a restaurant in Iceland or launch a food-related product, they need to consider the dietary preferences of Iceland. As we talked about before, Iceland has different tastes and preferences than the US, so some food categories may not be as well received in Iceland as they are here. Dietary preferences actually vary the most by culture. However, global dietary preferences are converging, meaning customers across the world are beginning to like the same foods. Despite this, marketers should still err on the side of caution and keep in mind the typical food categories Icelanders prefer, such as animal products and seafoods. Popular American dishes like pizza may not do as well in Iceland. Touching back upon Hofstede's 5 dimensions, their preference towards individualism means that marketers need to take into account their preference for personalized products that will assert their differences to others. They could also employ competitions and challenges to engage consumers. Lastly, attractive images in marketing should favor youth and material symbols of success, such as luxurious brands. Controversial language, if appropriate, could also attract consumers in Iceland. Their low power distance is important for marketers to keep in mind because they can go into the Icelandic market knowing that customers tend to place value on highly responsive and quality customer service. They also expect companies to take accountability for their actions and to be inclusive in their advertisements. Low uncertainty avoidance means that consumers in the Icelandic market seek new products and advanced technology. They really value innovation, which ties into their individualistic preferences that cause them to value wealth and status symbols that set them apart from others. Since they are a nurturing, otherwise known as a feminine, culture, this indicates that they prefer local products. This will make it difficult for marketers from foreign companies, such as the US, to penetrate their market. They also prefer products that are environmentally friendly or conscious. So, perhaps US marketers should utilize core competencies that focus on other values Iceland holds near and dear, such as inclusivity environmental responsibility, and family values. Here is a picture of Icelanders celebrating one of their many interesting traditions, Borgardagor. Iceland's short-term orientation refers to how they prefer tradition in the past. This means that nostalgia marketing appeals may be effective. Nostalgia marketing brings the consumer back memories of the good old days. It brings themes or products from the past into your current marketing strategy in order to resonate with consumers by stirring up unique emotional feelings within them. An existing American product that I would launch in Iceland is shortbread Girl Scout cookies. These are currently manufactured by ABC Bakers and sold by Girl Scouts across America. Although there are Girl Scout associations in Iceland, they do not sell the infamous Girl Scout cookies. I believe that these shortbread cookies would do great in Iceland for two main reasons. The first reason being is that Icelanders really enjoy bread in their diet. As we talked about before, Icebrod is a sweet bread that the Icelanders enjoy during the holidays. Shortbread cookies are sweet, and I imagine taste very similar to Icebrod. However, they would offer the convenience of being pre-packaged in smaller bite sizes. In addition, although ABC Bakers does manufacture the cookies, it is a Girl Scout name that is attached to this brand. As we discussed earlier, Icelanders hold strong family values and enjoy fostering traditions, and children are important in Icelandic society. The Girl Scout brand symbolizes both of these things and is recognized worldwide. The following is a market segment for my product. The demographic would be males and females, ages 10 to 40 from middle-income families. Psychographic would be someone that enjoys a busy, on-the-go lifestyle and really values time spent with their family. Geographic would be the capital city of Reykjavik. Lastly, user behavior would be that they regularly enjoy the dish laufabrauð as well as other sweets. I believe the segment I'm going to target is appropriate for a multitude of reasons. I will start with the demographics I chose. Sweet should be enjoyed by everyone regardless of gender. In addition, ages 10 to 40 are the most likely to enjoy these cookies. Those 10 and under may not yet have a taste or appreciation for sweets, and those 40 and above would probably not enjoy the cookie because it goes against traditions. Usually, older age demographics stick to traditions more heavily than younger generations and are less likely to budge on their preferences. Middle-income families would enjoy this treat because the cookies are not too expensive, but are also not too cheap. They are of good quality, but not a luxurious dessert. You are definitely paying for the great taste as well as the Girl Scout name. The target segment would enjoy a busy, on-the-go, and active lifestyle that makes it convenient for them to pop open a box of the delicious cookies and close them back up when done. Also, as I talked about before, they value time spent with family, which helps them better associate with the wholesome Girl Scout name. The capital city, as I touched upon in the beginning of this presentation, has a majority of the population residing there. This means the largest market opportunity out of any other geographical segmentation option. Last but not least, our target consumer regularly enjoys the Icelandic dish laufabrauð, as well as other sweet treats that have similar tastes to these shortbreads.
Thank you for listening to my country video presentation on Iceland.